So here's another type of question that you might get on the exam. So let's go through this one. You're managing a project with 5 activities, and you're putting together the project network diagram. Activity A has a duration of 8 days and is dependent on start. B has a duration of 5 days and is dependent on A. C has a duration of 10 days and is dependent on both B and D. D has a duration of 5 days and is dependent on start. Oh my goodness. E has a duration of 3 days and is dependent on both B and D. Finish is dependent on both C and E. You have just finalized and received formal approval for the schedule. The process you've just finished is A, sequence activities, B, develop schedule, C, integrated change control, and D, time management. So what do you think on this one? We're obviously figuring out all the logic and the dependencies between these activities. So that seems like that should be sequence activities. But no, that's not the right answer. The right answer is develop schedule. It's in develop schedule where we receive formal approval of the project, or of the schedule at least. So what's the moral of this story? The moral of the story is if you started this question and thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to put together a network diagram, and this one's pretty complicated, got a lot of spaghetti in it, a lot of logic, and you start writing down this network diagram, this is going to take some time, isn't it? This could take 10 minutes for you to do the network diagram. And then you get down to that last sentence and you realize that you didn't need that network diagram at all. You just need to know, where do I get the schedule formally approved? And that's in develop schedule. So this also makes the point that we must know the key outputs of the processes. If we know the key outputs, we know the goal, and we know the purpose. That would tell us the answer to this question. Develop schedule has a key output, the schedule baseline, and that implies all baselines are formal and have been approved. So that's the answer to our question. One more type of question that's commonly on the exam. Let's go through this one. You're managing a project with a CPI of 1.1 and an SPI of 0.85. So these are both key indices that are used in earned value. So more about that later in the section on earned value. Here's a quick preview. CPI stands for Cost Performance Index, and SPI stands for Schedule Performance Index. For both of these, if the index is a number greater than 1, then that's good news. That means we're doing well. And if the number, on the other hand, is a decimal below 1, that means we're doing poorly. So the CPI, this Cost Performance Index of 1.1, is actually good news. It means that we're under budget at this time. It means actually we're 10% under budget. But the SPI, the Schedule Performance Index of 0.85, means we're not doing very well regarding our performance against the schedule. We're behind schedule. We're 15% behind schedule, so that's not good news. Just knowing these two little factoids, if you will, about SPI and CPI is going to get you at least one question, a couple of questions correct on the test. So file that one away. Definitely remember that about these indices. So back to our question here. The CPI is 1.1, the SPI is 0.85. The sponsor and customer have both expressed high concern that the next key milestone occur as planned. One of your team members informs you they are having difficulty with a key activity required for this milestone, and the activity will likely be delayed for 2 days. You should A, replace the team member with a more experienced resource. B, investigate the team member's report and analyze what options you have available. C, use precedence diagramming method and determine the critical path. D, crash the schedule. So what do you think on this one? What's the answer to this one? So the answer is B. We need to do more work. We need to do some investigation. We need to analyze possible choices that we have. It's too early to know that the team member is the problem. We don't really know that the team member doesn't have the right experience and they are the problem and they should be replaced. So that's premature. We don't know that. And determining the critical path, that's something we should have already done, and that's not really relevant to solving this problem. And again, crashing the schedule D is, again, that's premature to decide that that's the way to get back the time that we need to on the schedule. So maybe there's some other alternatives. So check all our alternatives. So B is our right answer. And that leads us to another key mnemonic trick, or something to help remember that will help you figure out correct answers on the test. So let's go into that. Okay, here's a quick mnemonic, FEARDUI, that is going to help you remember some trigger words. And if any one of these trigger words occurs in one of the 4 answers, put more weight on that answer. It's probably the right answer. So in FEARDUI, our mnemonic, F stands for find out, E stands for evaluate, A stands for analyze, R stands for research, D stands for discover, U stands for understand, and I stands for investigate. So let's go back and look at our answer. The correct answer, B, actually has 2 of these trigger words. Okay, again, the correct answer here, B, has 2 of those trigger words in the FEARDUI mnemonic trick. It has investigate and analyze. So that's the one we're going to put our most weight on, and that's our correct answer.